Hey there, Lauren Gill coming at you from my home office in beautiful sunny Florida. And you're probably here because you're looking at early retirement extreme, or you want to learn how to retire extremely early. Now, I've got great news for you. I've been in that situation wondering how I can retire early, what it's going to take, what I'm going to need to do, and I've struggled and finally kind of came across a solution and something that has not just allowed me to do it where I see that early retirement, but actually accelerate everything so that I'm going and able to do it at a much faster pace and really just be able to live that life that I thought wasn't able to be. So this is something that really, it excites me. It makes me happy and wanting to share that with other people. Now, early retirement extreme is actually, it's a mindset. It's a way of thinking, a philosophy, if you will, that has come across through different years. And there are a gentleman by the name of Jacob Lund-Fisker who has really made it more popular with his book. I'll actually include a link to his book in the description here so that you can just go directly to it on Amazon and purchase it if you want. And it's an excellent book. It gives you a lot of different tips and different ways of operating and looking at life in a way so that you can retire early. Now, basically what it is, though, is there's only a certain amount of money that everybody has, right? Whether you are digging ditches, working at McDonald's for minimum wage, or you are a one percenter making millions of dollars, there's only a certain amount of money that you are making, and there's a certain amount of money that you're spending. So there's basically an income and an outgo of that money. Now, if you are spending more than you are making, obviously you are going in reverse, and it's going to be much harder for you to get to a point where you can retire. If you're just maintaining it, like you are having just about exactly enough to meet the bills and go. Now, that doesn't matter, again, whether you are making minimum wage or you're making $1 million. If you're spending exactly the same amount as you're making, you aren't actually getting anywhere where you can build that nest egg, build that thing that's going to then carry you forward so that you can retire. So then the third thing that you might be is doing what's going to actually make it so that you can retire. And that's spending less than what you are making. And that difference between what you are spending and what you are making, that's what you're putting aside to build your retirement. Okay, because there's really only two things and two ways that you can have money so that you can retire, right? One of them is you trade your time and your effort for that. And the other is you actually have that money that's doing the work for you, and it is multiplying and therefore making your nest egg and growing through compound interest or however else you've got that set up so that that money will grow into that nest egg. Now, wasn't that long ago, maybe about 4 or 5 years ago, I had a financial planner come to my house and look over everything that I had to try to help me. I wanted to go, hey, I thought I was doing a pretty good job, but I figured, you know what, it wouldn't hurt for me to know if there's anything else I can do better. Now, he looked over everything I had, looked at the income I was making, which was really insubstantial. It was very low. I worked for an aid agency, helping other people, nonprofit organization. But anyway, he looked at that, and he looked at what we had as a family and what we had set aside already, and he was just amazed by what we had and where we were. And he said, you know what, there's really nothing I can tell you, nothing I can do to make your situation any better. Now, that did make me feel good about what I had, but there was a problem, okay? And the problem was, I've been basically living by the philosophies of early retirement extreme in that I had been cutting out anything in excess, living in a way that I could put the maximum aside for my retirement. And this is a very good thing in that I built up some retirement. However, in the process, there are some sacrifices that one would make. And these sacrifices ended up putting me in a situation in my life that I never thought I would be in, and it was really pretty hurtful to me and my family. You see, by sacrificing a whole bunch of the things that the normal Americans around me with the same amount of income would be spending on, my children actually ended up suffering because they weren't getting the same kinds of things. They didn't have the same opportunities. And you know what? They only have one childhood. And while I was saving up for my early retirement, they were losing out on a lot of the opportunities in their childhood. So I knew that there had to be something else to make a change. And you know what? It ended up affecting my marriage. It just really put me in a bad situation, even though financially, following on those things on an early retirement extreme, I had gotten in a very good position. But I ended up being in a position that I needed to make a change. And it wasn't until I found out how to make the changes and how to be able to not sacrifice everything for my children's lives, that they could still have a nice childhood and I could still retire early. And that was by finding a different way of looking at life, a different mindset, paradigm shift, however you want to call it, that took me from where I was, just eking by, just, you know, making everything that I had so that I could retire early. And basically now I found the catalyst, the thing that skyrocketed where I was, and yet no longer was I sacrificing everything. I mean, you know, when you were going through the grocery store and every last cent, you know, just trying to watch down, and it takes a certain amount of joy away from living life. And you know what, it's just sad. You know what, we only have one life, and that life should be lived with joy, prosperity, wealth. And so I had to find a different way of doing that. And I came across some people who really showed me some differences in life and how to make that go forward. So what I want you to do is I want you to click the link in the description below so that I can share with you the free video that has been able to change my life and has been able to get me to a point where I am going to retire extremely early and live a life that most Americans wouldn't ever dream of. All because I learned some principles and was able to make that change. So what I want you to do is just, you know, click that link below in the description here and fill in your information, because after all, if you really want to know how to retire early, which is why you're probably here in this video, this is the solution that has definitely helped me accelerate where I was. I was doing pretty good, but it really has accelerated. And it's something that, you know what, anybody can do it. Anybody who puts their mind to it can do it. And I want you to be able to do this too. Also, I am going to include down below in the description a link to Jacob Lund Fisker's book, so you can look at that on Amazon. Of course, it's got great ideas of how to reduce expenses, how to be more productive in your own life, how to not live as a consumer but as a producer. So that'll be there as well. So just make sure to click on those links down below, and I hope to see you in a new life, living abundantly and retiring